didn't have as good a turnout as we usually have. I guess the rain has kept everybody away.
If you got your cell phones on, please turn them on vibration or shut them off, please. And one question at a time. Thank you. Okay, Mike.
Give me a couple minutes to tell you some things I got to tell you, and then we'll open it up for questions. Over, Dan Rader has a sheet that I brought to be passed around. If anybody has any information they need to update, new phone numbers, new address, or if you want to get your bills sent to you via email, please pass that around and sign it up, and we'll get that taken care of. So, as I promised when I took over the utility receivership, I think it was about 6 years ago, promised I'd have a meeting with everybody every year, and these meetings have always turned out to be productive, and I'm glad that I'm able to do it every year. To give you an update from where we were this time last year, remember that, let me get this out. Remember last year and previous years I've talked to you about not putting little towelettes down the sewer system. And they can be wipies, they can be little, what they call them, the Clorox wipes, little ones like this. We don't put these in the sewer plant. We don't put these down the toilet. That situation has actually gotten better. Since the last time I've talked to you, we've only had to replace one lift station pump. So I'm very pleased about that, but I would still encourage you, please, and tell all your neighbors, none of this kind of stuff into the sewer system. What these things do is they don't disintegrate like toilet tissue does, and they make a rope. And when they get into the pumps, they completely wind themselves around to make a big old rope, and they burn the motor out. And those motors are, they're $2,000 to $3,000 uninstalled. So I'm doing everything I can to try to keep the cost down. Probably the big thing I'm going to ask you to do tonight is, if you live on Oak Ridge East or West, and you're putting diabetic needles in the toilet, you need to stop. I know it's coming from those two streets, because that's where those lines dump into the lift station. But you're causing all kind of problems, and it's particularly concerning to me because Jackie, when he goes out every week to net out the lift station and cleans them, he gets more and more of a risk of getting stuck by one. So the sewer system is not a place for rags. It's not a place for diabetic needles. It's not a place for any of that kind of stuff. Please throw it in the trash. If you know the person on the Oak Ridge East or West that's doing it, please tell them to stop. If you're in this room, please stop, because you're causing danger to my employees.
I can go to prison for that.
If that continues, you're going to make me put in filtering systems into that lift station, and they're going to be really expensive. So I have to protect my employees. I have to protect the integrity of the effluent water that we pump back into the ground, and those things are causing problems. It hasn't been a problem in the past. It's just something that's happened recently. So it may be somebody just moved in and doesn't know any better, but I want to very, very, very clearly stress that, because it's a situation I can only tolerate for a small amount of time. We will send out in your envelopes, I want you to when you get your bills every month, please look in there. We're going to start putting some stuffers in there. I call them stuffers. The different government agencies, the Water Management District, Department of Environmental Protection, has asked us to put these things in there. So, and we're also going to be putting notes in there about changes we have and what have you. So just keep an eye out for those. Another concern that I'm having, and this happened about 4 or 5 years ago, but right where Barrington meets Reynolds Road, there's a manhole cover there. And one of these sewer companies, have been dumping their honey wagons in that manhole. I'm trying to get some prices and figure out a way I can secure that thing. But the people that did work into that manhole a lot of years ago really did a poor job of it. So I'm trying to figure out a solution where I can keep that thing only looking nice when you come into the subdivision, so it's not an eyesore, but also keep them people from dumping it. So if you see a honey wagon or a sewer truck backed up to that lift station or that manhole, please write down the license plate, a phone number, any information you can get, and call me, because I will prosecute them. They're legally dumping in there, and it causes all kind of havoc in the lift station, because everything they dump in there goes to the lift station, clogs the pumps, and then eventually gets to the plant, throws everything out. So it's somebody trying to get something for free. It's somebody not doing what they're supposed to do, and I need you, please help me. I need to keep the costs down. So I want to thank Dan. Dan is the CFO for my company for coming out and covering me. I was trying not to be too late, and I apologize for that. I think that's about really all that I have. Really the update since last year, the big update was we recently got the plant is all worked up. It's really good, and we recently have our permit renewed from the DEP for 10 years. Typically, they renew permits for 5 years, but when plants are in good shape and maintained properly, and we don't have any back issues, they will renew them for 10 years. So the plant permit was renewed for 10 years. That has been a big success from, certainly most of you guys know from when I took it over back in 2005 or 6. So we're well on our way. Everything down there is running really pretty good. I think we're going to try to do a little bit of upgrades and make things a little bit better. It's going to cost a little bit of modifications, but I think besides that, we're good. The other thing is the area over on the south side of Barrington, Oak Ridge East and West, that area that has the clay lines, anybody of you are living there, probably after, I'm guessing towards the middle of March, the end of March, we're going to start doing some root X treatment in those clay lines. It's where we mix up a chemical, and it goes into the sewer line, and it gets so hot that it just singes those roots. We don't have a big root problem at all, but I'm trying to do some proactive work on those sewer lines to make sure we don't have any problems. So, I've ordered that stuff. It should be on its way, and when the spring starts here in a little bit, I'm gonna let those of you that go north, let you go home, and we'll clean the sewer lines out and do some proactive treatment on those. So, thank you, Bill, for working with me getting this set up tonight. And I look forward to coming out here and talking to everybody. This is Brian. We are starting a YouTube channel. So if you know anybody that wasn't here tonight and wants to watch the meeting on YouTube, I will be happy to give you the YouTube address, and you can forward that to them, or if you just want to see yourself on YouTube, you can do that too. So,
Have you got
yes,
any problems with underground pipes leaking anywhere? We smell a lot of sewer in the drains around the park.
in the storm drains,
Smells just like sewer. Quite a few of the areas I'm smelling it, and then also off, well, it'd be north of Oak Ridge, east and west over there where that ditch comes in. Over here by our shuffleboard court, you can smell sewer all the time too.
what did you say north of what?
North of Oak Ridge, east and west. Up on the north side of Barrington. Going toward that great big conservation drain ditch there. You can smell it over in there all the time.
Okay, and you said also by the shuffleboard courts?
But yeah, well, that's over in that area. The drain ditch goes right beside the shuffleboard court.
In the shuffleboard courts right out here?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about that okay.
It
You know,
comes
the sewer,
across,
the,
it comes across Reynolds Road into the lake here from another lake.
And also on the corner of Barrington and what is that, Lazy Lakes West? Where Barrington ends?
West.
Lazy Lakes
West.
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 There's a drain system up in there, and on the corner of Oak Ridge East, there you can smell sewer.
corner of Oak Ridge, okay.
Wherever those open storm drains are, them long drainage things down and curving. you can
The
smell
direct answer to your question is none that I'm aware of, but I've got some notes here. I will investigate it. And thank you for sharing that with me. And make sure make sure we don't have any issues there. That's easy enough to check. I don't know if this is a scenario, but sometimes animals get caught in those things. They die, decompose.
But it ain't a dead animal smell, it's
No.
definitely sewer smell.
Okay. Thank you. I will look into that immediately. Who's next? Yes, sir.
The manhole that you was talking about, that somebody could maybe dump it in, is that the one up there on the On Barrington, just as you come off of Reynolds Road, on the right-hand side, like the very first one.
Yeah, if
Got
you're
a
on
big
Barrington,
concrete
you turn, or if you're on Reynolds, you turn left onto Barrington, it's the one probably 100 foot in,
The
right on the
very,
right
the
hand
very
side.
first one with the big concrete thing in. All
Yes.
right, well, back at Christmas time, me and Bill put that concrete slab back on top because somebody had moved it off.
Yeah, they go in there, whoever's dumping their honey wagon in there, they go and take that concrete thing off, dump in there, and
Okay.
that's how I noticed it. I was coming in here to the system one day, and I noticed the lid was off.
Yeah.
And the next day, and I think it was later that same day, somebody called and said, the red light was on at the lift station. So I sent Jackie out here, and he said it was all full of rags and all kind of other things that's not normally in the system. And then it hit me, somebody's dumping their honey wagon in there because that lid was off. And then it happened again. That lift station up there completely clogged up. We had to pull that pump, and it was the same thing. So there's a driver of a septic tank company around here somewhere that's wanting to get rid of a load, probably wanting to go home and do whatever, and he's coming in there and dumping it in there. And
Or at night.
I've seen them over there.
so if you, any information you can get me, I will prosecute them. They will pay it, and then I will prosecute them. Are you done? Did you have any other questions? Okay, go ahead, Bill.
When approximately do you think they would come in there and do that? Well, you know, late at night, or, you know, early morning, or?
I've seen them during the day, Bill.
You seen them during the day?
Yeah,
He's seen them.
I thought they were supposed to do that, so I didn't say anything, I didn't know.
What color is the trucks, you know, remember?
I think they're white.
White?
Usually what those guys do, their big time is a lot of times it's if there's weekend events. So, you know, Sunday nights or Monday mornings, they're out doing their deal, cleaning up from the weekend events. And then occasionally it may be pumping out somebody's septic tank. But I can look at the materials there and tell you what it is. The guys that's been dumping, for the times that I've seen, it's paper towels, it's cups, it's from a festival somewhere or a gathering or something, and they've come in on Sunday night or Monday morning and cleaned it all up, and now they're ready to get rid of their load. So, but this sewer system is not designed for that. It's not, these pumps can't handle it. It's just not designed for it. So it's designed for residential wastewater. And when you start dumping all those towels and you know, hot dog wrappers and all that kind of stuff in there, it does the same thing this stuff does. It all knots up, makes a rope, and it clogs those pumps up.
Tom, how much they paying you in your backyard?
Now, we can, if I see him, I just call the sheriff out, you know, and then, you know, get a hold of you. Is that what you want?
Yeah, if you would, please, any information you give me, I promise you I will follow up on it, and I will work with the Polk County Sheriff's Department, and we will find them, and I will press charges against it. Because number one, it's illegal, and I'm gonna go after their license, and they know it. Number two, they need to pay me, they need to pay me and us for the damages they've done, and it needs to be stopped. Because the problem, here's the issue. They keep dumping in there, and it goes into the lift station, burns up the pump. You know, it's a couple $1,000s. We got to come out of pocket for it. I finally got this utility world functioning good. Everything should roll along pretty smooth, and I got some person doing that kind of mess, and we just got to stop it. So give me any information you can. Picture would be great, license tag, a phone number, color of the truck, and we'll figure it out, because I'll call the DEP, and that will stop. So who else can I answer a question for? Yes, ma'am.
Those people on Oak Ridge that are putting needles into the toilets, can you send them a letter in their bill on that street? Because there's not hardly anybody here tonight. I don't even know anybody from Oak Ridge, but maybe those guys.
We have new people over there.
Well, let me tell you, that's a good question, and it kind of leads into something else I wanted to mention. I mentioned before, in you now are getting your bills via envelopes, and everybody loves that. Those old postcards were just more work than they were worth. But we're going to start putting stuff in there, and the first one's going to be this next month is what not to flush down the toilet and what to flush down the toilet. We got some information from DEP, so that's on the way. We're going to keep putting that stuff in there. I'm going to tell you something that doesn't 100% apply to me particularly out here, but I tell people the same story every meeting I have every year, because I hope that it hits home there's a free service the state of Florida puts on. It's called 811, call before you dig. So if you're out gonna plant a new tree or, you know, whatever you're gonna do, set a fence post, what we want you to do is call 811, it's completely free. You end up calling the state of Florida, they will take your name, address, and then they will contact all the utilities, cable company, phone company, me, the sewer company, the water company, City of Lakeland, and you've probably seen them around, the little flags that stuck in the ground, that marks where those particular utilities are. Let me contrast that to tell you what happened at another one of my utilities not too long ago, and Dan can certainly confess to this. There was a man that went out and decided that he was going to put a fence up. And he had his postal diggers, and he started digging down, and he went right into a 4-inch water main. You know, 100-something thousand gallons of water later, we finally got the system shut off. We had to shut the complete system down, inconvenience all 400 and whatever the people out there, and repaired a leak. And Dan sent him a bill for about $1,000. It's expensive. You think that's expensive? Cut a fiber optic line. You'll mortgage your house. I'm serious. So, where it applies out here is that the sewer lines are not under pressure, but if you still break them, it still has to be repaired, obviously. But where it gets more, what's the word I'm looking for? Where it gets more, well, yeah, definitely more expensive. Thank you, Carolyn. Is that, you know, you hit a fiber optic line or a cable line or a water line, then you got really big problems. So, so I encourage everybody to call 811. Springtime's coming up. Everybody want to be planting, you know, bushes and flowers and all that kind of stuff. Just keep it in mind. It's a great program. And I say that to say that we probably get, all my companies combined, we probably get 10 or 12 requests a month to go out and mark lines. I got no problem doing that. To me, it's time and money well spent, because the alternative is you busted a water line, 100,000 gallons of water is going, you know, down the street, and you got a bill coming. So just keep that in mind. Yes, sir.
What's the size of your main trunk line coming down the road?
For here?
Yeah.
Some of them are 6-inch, most of them are 4-inch.
That's the biggest?
Mm.
Coming down the main road where the houses lead into is 6-inch?
This force main coming back out of this station, going down here to the lake, and going back to the plant is 6. Everything else is 4.
Wow, ain't very big.
From Barrington,
Mm-hmm.
all the way down to Barrington is 4 inch.
Yeah.
Wow.
Boy, this
That's pretty much standard size. The clay lines that are over in Oak Ridge East and West, we've never dug them up, so I really don't know how big they are. But according to the map, they say they're 4-inch. But, yes, ma'am.
Back to the stuffers. If I get my bill online, will there be an additional paper that has all the information that you stuff in the envelope? Because I get my bill
You get your bill emailed.
emailed.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I hadn't thought about that. That's a good question. Let me write that down, and I'll talk to the ladies in the office about that.
Mike, you could scan it and attach it to the email.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Recently purchased a utility down in Hardy County, and I had a customer meeting like this, and I asked people, I said, if you'd like to get your bill sent to you via email, raise your hand. So nobody ever had a customer meeting before. One lady in the back, right? This is a system about 145 customers. And I said, if you'd like to make your payment over the computer or with a credit card or debit card over the phone, raise your hand. 2 people in the back of the room. And there was probably, how many was there, 80 people there? 2 people. Since then, about almost half of them are getting their bills by email now. And I'd say a good third or better are paying with their debit card or credit card. So I'm embracing technology, YouTube here. We're thinking about a Twitter account. I'm trying to do everything I can do to keep up a line of communication with everybody. So let me work on that, but thank you for mentioning that. The stuff I'm sending you is not life and death important. It's just, it's using the materials we have to try to make everything a little bit better and not so expensive. Okay, who's next? Anybody?
Just a
comment on
Yes, Carolyn.
those needles. I have a diabetic dog, and so I have to get the shot. But one of the things they told me is even if you put them in the garbage, your trash, and they find it, they won't pick your trash up anymore. So it's really, the disposal is really regulated on any needle like that.
If they catch you, they can fine you, put you in jail.
Yeah, it's a serious thing.
You can get your needle containers free at any Board of Health,
Yep,
and you can also get a prescription from your doctor.
yeah.
I gotta be honest and tell you, this is the first time that I've had to deal with these needles. Out here, it's always been a little towelette. It's given me the worst problem, so I honestly don't really know. I'm just trying to get the person to stop, whoever it is.
It's really
but-
serious if they get caught.
It is, and it's dangerous to my employees.
Yes.
And, you know, Jackie comes out here once a week and manually cleans out these lift stations in an effort to, you know, keep those costs down. It's cheaper for me to send them out here once a week and manually clean them out as it is to, you know, pull pumps and derag them or fix them. So that has been a big cost saving towards everybody. But if we can help me if you can with the people illegally dumping, and let's keep the needles out of the, yeah, Bill.
I had a lady ask me to ask you, why couldn't there be some kind of drop box put around out here? Where would you put it? Well, that's another thing, you know, where would you put a drop box? But she was really concerned about that and wanted me to ask you.
You know, when I first started, back in 2005, 2006, we had a box on the fence out there. And that was actually very successful until the one night when somebody knocked it off. And the box was laying on the ground, and I had people saying, "Oh, I found a check over there, it's made out to you." And right then I just decided to stop it, because I can't control what goes on. But, you know, up to that point, it was successful. It's convenient for everybody. Yeah, please tell the lady I appreciate her question. I just don't, I'm just not convinced it's safe.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's not a question, this is a comment. I'm the one that reads your meters every month. I've been doing it for over 2 years now. I'm sure a lot of you have seen my face in the park. I live here as well. I want to comment that I appreciate all of you keeping your grates clear enough for me to get a good reading. I just want to say thank you for that. I appreciate it. If you know anyone else that doesn't keep their meter clear, maybe you can mention something to them, but you're all working with me, and I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Ray. You have done a great job. Our billing reports show us that the customer count is coming up in this community. So it seems like some of these foreclosures and people that may have passed away, some of those properties are starting to turn over a little bit now. So I think that's going to be beneficial to everybody. Yes, sir.
Has the rate changed that much that our water bills have gone up so high? My water bill is twice what, or my sewer bill is twice what the water bill is. More than twice.
Yeah, the customers in out here, you actually have, compared to a lot of people in Polk County, you have very low sewer rates. Which reminds me, thank you of mentioning that. Usually somebody asks me, are our rates going to go up? Am I going to file a rate case this year? The answer to that question is yes, but it's not for the reason you think. This is a really complicated thing. Carolyn is a smart accountant. She could probably explain it to you in a lot more detail than I can. But basically what happens is when, if I only own this one company, the revenue I get from the customers would pay all the expenses, the electric bill, the sludge hauling, whatever it is. When you get a person like me, when you own multiple companies, some of those costs are shared. Okay, so a year and a half ago when I filed to the commission for a rate increase, those shared costs were put into the rate design. Since then, I've bought 3 other utilities. So I have to file to the commission to adjust those shared costs. So in some of those columns, for example, the rent or workers' compensation insurance, those actual rates will probably, in your case, come down. Because the Public Service Commission does it by number of customers. Out here, there's about 317 customers. So I've added another probably almost 1,400 customers. So all those numbers are going to be reworked. I can't tell you if the rates are going to come down or up. I can tell you in some columns they will come down, but the commission may adjust them up in other columns. I don't know. I'm looking at probably later on in the summer before I even file that paperwork. So probably by this time next year, we'll probably be in the middle of it. And then as with the last rate case, the commission will, they came here last time. Everybody will be invited to a public meeting. You can put your comments in. It's a completely open process, and you know, most people that are concerned with that thing, that you know how that process works, have been through it. So, so in order to keep everything adjusted properly and make sure that you're not being overcharged in a particular column, I have to adjust that. So I'm not going in for adjustment just to raise the rates. It's something I have to do in order to make everybody else's, your utility, every other utility fall in line, basically. So I can't speak to how much it will be. I just don't know. That's what the Public Service Commission does. But just remember, it's an open process. You're entitled to anything and everything you want to know here. You can get copies of whatever you want to do. And also, probably, Dan is working on the annual reports now. We should have them out in the next couple of weeks. I know there's some people in this subdivision who would like to read them. Some folks have called the office and asked us to send a copy. It's just the annual report that we submit to the Florida Public Service Commission showing, you know, the structure of the company, how much money we spent, where, doing what, and what have you. Usually I come in here and tell you annually that my rough calculations of how much of your money goes to government in some form or the other. And this year we actually held about the same as last year, about 51%. So about 51 cents of every dollar you send to me goes to government in some form or the other. Whether it's property taxes or licensing fees or water testing fees or something like that. So I was like, people always are intrigued by that number. And it's always higher on the sewer side because there's so much government regulation on testing the water and the effluent and putting different chemicals in there. So the operation expense is not so much high on sewer utilities as it is on water utilities. It kind of gets back to the question you asked, why is it so high? Because most of it's government. So, but the good news is we kind of held steady the last couple of years. Anybody else? I think everybody's anxious to get home, and so thank you. Please excuse my tardiness. I appreciate it. And I'll see you next year.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.